Hey there, fellow football fans. This is the Super Bowl project. This is the the starting point, or scratching point if you want. I wanted to build something special. I am a Patriots fan, and I don't know how many of these that we're going to be able to enjoy. Obviously, it's not going to last forever. So I kind of wanted to make something special to go with it. For Super Bowl 42, I had made a holder for the napkins and the silverware, and I ended up losing. So I don't know if I was going to jinx them. I thought about not doing it. I didn't want to jinx the Patriots in any way. But I wanted to make something special. So, like every guy, you sit down, well, I want to make something special. What can I make? Well, I got a pad out and I started jotting. If I make something kind of like a stand, I could put the logo on it and the teams. Of course, this year it's the Patriots and the Eagles in the Super Bowl. The base that it's going to go on, I decided that a football would be pretty cool. I thought about making a helmet, but that would be more intricate, and football's a lot easier. Plus, I don't want it to take away from the logo. The Super Bowl logo itself, Super Bowl 52, has the letters, and it's got the Lombardi trophy in it. So I tried doing it without it, and it just wouldn't look right. The Super Bowl logos have gotten pretty plain compared to what they used to be. But anyway, I started, scribbling around and seeing how I would design it and how I would light it. I could do this by drilling a hole into it and running a light with a cord to illuminate all of this. Or I could use a battery-operated string of lights, and it'd be about 5, and it would all come out individually. But basically, I got it down to a basic design that I'm comfortable with. I want to put it on a platform. Again, it's going to be the football. And I'm going to make the logo. And I'm going to use good stock. I'm going to use good plywood. It's a little expensive, but you don't want to get something that's going to flake apart when you cut it. If you want to make this, or a table, or a stool, or anything you do, you want to make it, use quality. You do get what you pay for. Anyway, it's going to have a logo. And I'm going to have the team logos. And I'm wondering how I'm going to suspend them like that. But I'm thinking maybe if I straighten a coat hanger, that might be a good idea. But this is the drawing board and the starting point. This is all done by freehand. So what I want to do is I want to decide how large I'm going to make it. And then I want to start to put the pattern on before I cut it. All right, so what I did was, you got to go ahead and decide what type of material you're going to build it out of. I'd recently done work on a floor, and I used the plywood. This plywood was expensive. It was probably, I think it was around $40, $49 for the sheet. It's expensive, but it's a little more solid, and if you sand it a little bit, it might still flake, but it won't be as bad as the cheaper pieces of plywood. Anyway, the first thing you're going to want to do is get the pieces, decide the size that you want to make it, and then I'll show you how to stencil on the designs. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut a few pieces. I'm going to cut a piece for the base, and I'm going to cut a piece for the, see, this over here would probably be good to do the logos. And I'll show you the pieces once they're cut. Okay, so I went ahead, I marked the pieces of the board that I wanted to use. It's a rough cut using a circular saw. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because remember, you're going to cut out the patterns. You've got to designate the ones that you want to plan. So this one's going to be the base. It's going to be the football shape. This one is going to be the Super Bowl logo. And because it's going to be standing up, what I like to do is keep the factory cut, so it's really flat, and it'll be a good cut. So either both of these, like I said, they don't have to be perfect, because you're going to put the logos on them and then cut them with the jigsaw. So now we're all set. The basic pieces are cut. So now we can go ahead and put the designs on. Okay, so what I did was I went ahead, I got one of the team logos. Patriots. Please, everybody out there, I'm doing this freehand, so be kind with the comments. I do a rough draft, and I'm going to do the outline, and then I'm going to color it in with kind of like a darker, like a pen to guide me so I can cut it out. So that's the basic design, and I'll show you what it's like when it's ready to be cut. Alright, what I did was I used the pencil and I went ahead, I darkened it as best as I could, and what I did was I put the outline, because you know there's like an outline that's white. So that's ready to cut out, and what I'm going to do is this is going to be white, the outermost layer, and I'll paint the whole block white around it and the top, because remember it's going to be three-dimensional. So it'll all be white, and then it'll have the silver, blue, red, and the white star. So this piece is all ready to cut out, so I'm going to go ahead now and work on the Eagles logo. Alright, so again, I'm not an artist, and I am not trying to insult or diss Eagles fans. I sketched out as best as I could, and then I kind of traced it in for the Eagles logo. And it's going to be all set to cut out with the jigsaw. So the two logos will be the Patriots logo and the Eagles logo. And if you guys remember, I want to have them coming out of the base. So it's coming, at least it's starting to take shape. And these two are going to be cut out. And let me get the base for you. This is the part that I was going to use for the base. Obviously, it's not going to be like this. I'm going to cut out the shape of the football, and I'm going to use the best side. But these are going to be coming off it. So, the logos for the team, well, the teams for Super Bowl 52 are ready to cut out. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start working on the logo, the Super Bowl logo, and I'll show you what that'll be like when that's ready to be cut out. Okay, this one is was a little bit more tricky doing that. Keep in mind, again, I'm not an artist, and be kind. Remember, I'm doing this all freehand. So I did the logo, and this is going to be tricky to cut out with the jigsaw. It's going to be really tricky. I got the team logos to go in with the Super Bowl logo. So that's all ready to cut out. And now the only template that I have to do is I have to figure out how I'm going to do the base. I know it's going to be a football, but, well, it probably will be a football. I don't know yet. But when it's ready to cut out and the template is done, I'll show you guys what it looks like. But I'm moving right along. Okay, so I went ahead and I drew an outline of a football. Now keep in mind, I'm doing this freehand, so it's far from perfect. But what's kind of funny about this, let me show you. When I first look at this, what do you think of? I think of Stewie Griffin's head. So, okay, joke's over. But anyway, that's the base. It's going to be, let me show you the football base. And then the logo is going to go on top. And then the team logos are going to be up off and kind of like that. So now I can start to cut everything out, and I'll show you guys what the templates look like once they're cut out and ready to paint. Okay, the base has been cut, and I used the jigsaw. You're going to need a jigsaw, especially if you're going to cut all these intricate pieces. But I started with the base, and again, it's not perfect. It's far from it, actually. But I think of with the deuce, Stewie's head. So this is going to be the base. So we'll give it a sand and prime it and get it ready to paint. Now we're going to move on to the logos. Okay, so I got the logos cut out, and it was pretty tricky. It helps to be a little bit crazy to cut these out because you got to get really close to your fingers in order to hold it. I don't suggest any of you try this. with the jigsaw unless you're really good at it. As you can see, there are so many little intricate little things to cut out, and again, I'm going to sand it down and paint it. And the Patriots one was a little easier to do because there was more of straight lines involved. And they'll be painted. I said this one was, I mean, I think, considering I did them freehand, I think they come out pretty cool. And they'll both be sanded down and they'll be primed to be painted. Okay, I've run into my first roadblock. This was really disappointing. In order to get in there to cut, following the line, I ended up going off and totally ruining the second I in the logo, which is, you can imagine the work that goes into this, very disappointing. So I'm gonna have to start over, and I'm probably gonna make one a little bit smaller, because if you can see, here's the base, and that would go on, and it'd be pretty big. I don't know if I want it that large as opposed to the base, but anyway, I have to make a new one. Very, very disappointed in this. And once I sketch out the new one, I'll show you guys an update on it. Alright, so I went ahead and I had to redo the logo. So this is the new one. And this one's probably going to work out better proportionately compared to the old one. The old one was a lot bigger. I think this one's going to fit better. So let's get this cut out with the jigsaw, and hopefully there's no mess ups on this one. Okay, so after a very, very nerve-wracking cutting session, I was able to cut it out as best as I could without breaking it. I'm hoping that I can kind of fine-tune the shape with sandpaper, because this is so long and it's so brittle that when you're trying to cut in here, it was vibrating off the edge and I didn't want it to snap. But the way it's going to work out is it's going to go pretty good for the, like I said, for the perspective wise, the ratio, this one is going to work better. So it's probably a good thing that I messed up the old one, because the old one would have been like really ridiculously big, and this one's going to go really well. You're going to have the Patriots logo and the Eagles logo. And now I can start sanding, prime, and paint. Alright, so I gave the base a quick sand. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but I wanted to get the rough edges off. And I don't know if I'm going to do it a football. I was thinking about making it a field, you know, with the turf, the green with the yard lines, but I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, I got to prime it right now, so I'll show you what it's like to prime it. Alright, so I gave the base a coat of primer. I'll wait for that to dry, and I'll probably give it a second coat and then flip it over and do the bottom. Okay, so I went ahead, I flipped it over. The other side was dry, the other side's going to be the top. I went ahead, I gave the bottom part one. I'll just give it one coat for the bottom part. And when that's dry, I'll flip it over, I'll give it one more coat on the sides and on the face, and it'll be all set to paint. Yeah, I went ahead, I gave it another coat. Just so it's even. Can't hurt. So when this is dry, I'll flip it over and give it a top coat. One more layer of primer, and then we'll paint. Now, let's give you an update on what I've been doing. I sanded down the edges, and what I did was I went ahead and instead of priming the whole thing, I didn't want to lose the drawings that I put on, because it would be hard to get it back again, so I just kind of been painting around, following the lines. And I got the white done. The front of the Patriots logo is all done. I'm going to do the sides and the back. It'll all be white. And the eagle, you can see it's going to be black. And I got some white to put on him. And then I'll finish him up in the black. And I'll show you what he looks like when the front is done. Alright, so I finished the eagle. I finished his front. So The sides are done, the front's done, and just like the Patriots logo, I did the sides, and I have to do the back. Bring it over here. So tomorrow I'm gonna have to put a little more detail. I gotta fix the eye, it looks funny. But they're coming along. Alright, I redid Patriot's face because it looked a little bit off. It was something wrong. I think it was the eyes, so I fixed the eyes and I fixed the mouth. Again, this is all freehand, so forgive me. But I think he looks a little bit better now. So now the logos are all set. And when they're dried, I'll put coats on the back because they're still wood. And then they'll be all set to mount. To the base, that is. Alright, so I went ahead and I put the coat of the finish paint on the back of the logos. And when it dries, some of that lumpiness will go away. You know, actually, I got the paint from Walmart, and I was thinking, well, it's probably not going to be the greatest paint because I tried it on some of the models, and it definitely does not work on plastic. And I was hesitant to use it on this project, but you know, this paint is actually working fantastic on wood. It's pretty good. With the back coat on, the plywood is completely covered, essentially turning what was cut plywood into the logos for the teams participating in Super Bowl 52. The only thing that's going to be left now is I did get some lacquer because I want to protect, you know, the painting. You know, you do all this work, you want to protect it. And like I showed you in the original plans, I am going to put the I don't know what I'm going to use to support them coming off of the base. I'm going to have to figure something out. And then I was thinking about how I could possibly light it up. But that being said, we're going to wait for these to dry. When they're all done, I'm going to put the lacquer on them, and then the logos will be finished for the team, that is. Let me give you an update on the base. Because I put 2 coats of primer just to make sure it would stick, and it was a little bit tacky, and now it's perfectly dried. It was 24 hours. So we're all set to work on the base and the logo. I really didn't do much to the Super Bowl logo itself since cutting it out. It's going to be sanded down, and I got to figure out what color I'm going to put it. I don't know if I'm going to put it white or try the silver that I had gotten. But that's a quick update, and when everything's starting to come together, I'll show you the next update. Will be the putting of the lacquer on the logos. Alright, so I sanded it down, and I got this this acrylic paint. I had gotten this, let's see, a couple years ago when I had done the USS Enterprise NCC 1701A, and I added lights. Anyway, I put lights in the secondary hull, and I figured this was silver, so it would reflect. And this was horrible, terrible. It just wouldn't coat the inside of the ship. Did not work well on plastic. So I put it away, not knowing what I'd do with it. Well, anyway, the Super Bowl trophy needed silver. I don't know. It looks like metal, but kind of looks like lead that came out of a casting. It's kind of got that blech kind of look. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to lightly sand it with a really fine grit sandpaper, and I might try using the paint gun. It might get it on evenly, you know, so there's no brush marks, because there are a couple of marks. And if I don't like it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the colors, I'm going to change it to white. Because the white looks pretty good, and it sticks out. I could always do the letters white and do the trophy silver, but I don't know. I'm going to see how it comes out a little bit later. Okay, so the base is all dry. One of the disappointing things is I was hoping to get away with one coat, but I'm probably going to have to put two, as you can see. And I put it on pretty good, but I don't want to leave these huge lumps of paint. So the base has to get another coat, and then we'll see how that looks. Alright, so that dried, and I think that looks much better. It's a lot richer. All in all, the sides have like 3 coats. The bottom has 1, and the top has 2 coats. Not bad for the cheap Walmart paint. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark off, or I'm going to paint the white lines for the football, and I'll do the stitching, and the base will be pretty much complete. I'll show you what it looks like after it's done. Alright, so the team logos are nice and dry. They're painted. They're all set to go. Now, I did a lot of work on these, and because I used the paint was kind of cheap. You know, I don't want the paint to flake off anytime soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some clear coat lacquer on it, just to protect the paint. Not a lot. I'm not looking for it to be glaringly shiny. I just want to put a protective layer on the team logos. Okay, so the stripes are done. This is the bottom part of the base. And I sign my name, I put the year. And because I want to protect it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a coat of shellac on it, or lacquer. Like I said, nothing too shiny, doesn't have to be a mirror, but I want something that's going to protect. Because the paint is pretty low quality paint, pretty basic paint. And I don't expect it to hold up to a lot of wear and tear. But if the finish is over it, it will. It'll be able to withstand anything in the test of time. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a coat and see what it looks like after that. Okay, so we're back to the letters. I really had a hard time with the letters. I tried, let's see, adjust the camera. I just couldn't get them to look right. I tried putting them white with the trophy staying silver, and it just didn't look right because the Super Bowl logo itself, all the numerals are stainless steel or chrome, and of course they reflect everything. And the base is a light blue, which is reflected up in the chrome on the sides and underneath the trophy. I tried doing the letters white, and even though it would be better reflective quality, it showed up really everything. I tried sanding it down one last time. It's because the plywood itself, it's a expensive plywood, but it still is plywood, and if you could see, it's really just layers. And because this was so small, when I had to cut into these little areas, everything got really brittle, and it was starting to splinter on the surface layer. So I had to sand it down and put just a little bit of like an acrylic putty type material, and then sand it down again. And I tried putting them white, and like I said, it looks almost like it's cast iron lead as opposed to chrome. But I don't know what else to do with these, so I'm going to leave them like this with the silver paint, and this is going to be the finishing coat. I'm going to put the details in, you know, like on the football and on the trophy. And when I do the base, I may do the reflection on the sides of the lettering. I don't know yet. But that being said, this is the logo. Actually looks kind of cool that way. And I'm going to start working on the base of the logo. That's going to be a powder blue. I don't think I have that. I'm going to have to mix it custom. And then of course I got to put the Super Bowl words on the base. Okay, so I put the first layer on the base. It's a bit messy. I had to mix it up because I didn't have that kind of color. It's kind of like a baby blue. I just didn't have it. And of course, because it's cheap paint, there's all kinds of things that started forming when I mixed them. These are old and there's all kinds of globs in them. I hope that doesn't affect it when it's dry. But I'm going to put a couple of coats on. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to put some of it over there on the sides like the Super Bowl logo looks. I don't know if that'll ruin it. The letters have given me the most difficult time. Here I am thinking that the logos for the teams were going to be the hardest, and it's actually the letters and the Super Bowl logo itself that's been giving me the most trouble. But I'll give you an update when the second coat is on. Alright, so I put 2 coats on the bottom part, you know, just to protect it. You can see the difference between the side that's coated and not coated. So, like I said, it's going to be on the surface, it's going to be getting the wear and tear, so I will do this side as well, but this side will get more of the wear and tear. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to paint this side and show you guys what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so an update on the logo. Got these stupid little lumps that are in the paint, and I don't understand why they're forming. It's not the wood, and I don't like it. I'm going to sand it down and see if I can get it smooth. I'll put another coat on. If not, I'm just going to have to go to the store and get the actual color and then just use that instead of mixing it up on my own. Well, I think I finally finished the logo. I wanted to get the color perfect. I don't really want to go to the store. I mean, the Super Bowl is Sunday and today's Friday, and I got a lot left to do on this. I want to wire it still because I would like to light it up. And it's starting to come together though, as you can see. The team logos are all shellacked. They're all done. And the base, the bottom part is all set. It's shellacked and everything. But the top, I think I'm going to put a second coat of the white before I shellac it. And the Super Bowl logo, once it's dry, I'll give it a quick coat of the shellac. So, like I said, it's coming together. And I'm running out of time because the Super Bowl is in a couple days, and I want to figure out how I'm going to light this thing up. So I'll give you an update when everything is starting to come together. Okay, I gave another coat of the white on the top part of the base. As you can see, the side and the bottom has already been shellacked with a couple coats. And this is it. This is the last thing I got to do is I have to put some lacquer on the base, on the top, make it protected. I'll put a couple coats, and I got to put a couple of coats on the Super Bowl logo. But that's it. That's all I got to do, and then I can start the assembly. Okay, so all the pieces are finally done. I sanded, painted, and then used lacquer to coat all of the pieces. As you can see, this one was a little tough. I couldn't find stencils, so I had to freehand. Like I said, everything is free-handed. It was tricky getting the letters because my penmanship isn't exactly the best, and it's off center. But that being said, I don't think it's too bad. The game piece, the team logos are all shellacked, and the base is shellacked and ready to go. So it's just the final assembly. Oh, by the way, I was wondering how I was going to suspend the team logos. And I figure I need something strong, but something that really wouldn't be, you know, really big. So what I did was I took a couple of old coat hangers and I cut them, and I'm going to use the coat hanger pieces, the bottoms, to suspend the logos up. So I'm going to do the final assembly of the pieces, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's fully assembled. Alright, let me give you a glimpse at the finished, well, the assembled product. What I did was I ran the coat hanger into the team logos, drilled, and I used hot glue to glue them into place. I also put it at the bottom, up in here, to keep the logos from spinning and keep them safe. I did drill the holes to make it easier. And the Super Bowl logo is hot glued. I was thinking of drilling a hole or a couple of holes and running a screw in, but I figured the hot glue should do the trick, and I didn't want to, you know, if you don't have to drill, then it's best not to. I wanted to leave a little bit of room. I know it's off center, but I wanted to figure out how I'm going to illuminate this. So I'm going to kick around some ideas on how to wire this, and I'll give you guys an update when I got it to light up. Well, when I have it ready to light up for the first time. Alright, so I figured out how I could make it light and be pretty cool. You know, it helps to have other hobbies and all my starships. I like to get all these extra lights and put them in the ships. Make a long story short, it was supposed to be just 2 whites to light up the logos for the teams. But then I figured, well, you know, it would look pretty cool because I got yellow and green, the Eagles colors, and I have blue and red, the Patriots colors, and I figured, well, you know, it would be pretty cool to light it. Then I wanted to light the Super Bowl logo, so I put a light switch on. Not a switch, you know, the tape, the LED tape. And I put some flashing bulbs around the logo. Let me show you the mess, though, that I have to deal with back here. And I have to figure out a way to tie it all in. And as you guys know that work with these wires, it's so small. Trying to use wire strippers, they would break and cut, and it was just a real pain. But for the most part, everything is done and in place, and what I have to do is I have to figure out how to tie everything together. And I was going to use the battery pack. Let me see if I got one hanging around to show you guys. So you get the battery pack, and I figure that would, you know, it's going to take up a lot of room. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the power supply, and I'll put it there, and I'll just plug it in. That way I won't have to worry about how long it's on. But I'll show you guys the finished product when it's all lit up. Well, I tested everything. All the lights work. And now what I'm going to have to do is the back, I'm going to have to solder all the wires and make it permanent. But pretty cool. It's almost done. Okay, to give you a little update, what I did was, there's a lot of wires back here, and I didn't want them to be exposed. So I didn't know really how to hide them or protect them, so I wrapped them in electrical tape. And because I wanted to save room back here, I put a power supply, an AC power supply, instead of doing the battery pack. I'll just plug it in. But let me show you guys the front. I added the light strip. I got the lights going down. One thing that's really disappointing is I noticed that the bottom light is not lighting. So when I used up all the tape and trying to get it to compact and stretch, and one of the lights must have come off the wire feed. So that's very disappointing, all that work, and at this point I'm not going to unravel all of that, and I'm just going to have to live with one of the lights being out. But that being said, let me go ahead and light it up for you so you guys can see what it looks like. And here is the finished product. I don't know if it's because I plugged it in, but the light strip is very light, very bright. Eagles logo. Again, I'm so disappointed. This light right here is not lit up. All that work. It would be a Patriots one too, right? And little glitter lights. Twinkling lights. Let's hope it's a twinkling kind of day for the Patriots. It's Super Bowl 52 tomorrow. Go Pats!